Hello, boys and girls. My name is Sonja Bell, and I am so happy to be here today to read a story just for you, supporting literacy for children. The title of the story that I'm going to be reading for you today is A History of Me. So let me put my eyeglasses on. A History of Me by Adrea Theodore and illustrated by Erin K. Robinson. Let's begin. I was the only brown person in class. So when they talked about slavery, I could feel every eye staring at me behind my back. When the teacher talked about picking cotton and slave shanks and sisters being sold away separately, I wanted to slide out of my seat onto the floor and drift out the door. My mom had told me before that her great-great-grandmother on her mother's side was born enslaved. But she died young, so we didn't know much about her. And so I should be grateful to go to school and learn, is what she said. I was. I love to learn, but I was the only brown person in class. When we talked about the struggle for civil rights in America and Martin Luther King Jr. and marches and police dogs and water cannons, on the playground some girls giggled and whispered and giggled some more and pointed at me and looked away when I looked at them. I wanted to slip off the swing and seep into the ground, not making a sound. My mom had told me before that her grandmother on her mother's side was born free, but only got to go to school for a little while, till the 3rd grade. There she is, in the 3rd grade. And so I should be grateful to go to school and learn. I was. I loved to learn. I was in the 3rd grade, and I had just learned how to multiply and how to write essays and how to think for myself. I was the only brown person walking home from school with a violin case in my hand when that boy rode by on his brand new bike and barked at me. If it wasn't for Lincoln, you'd still be our slaves, he said. I wanted to sprint away after him and ask, is that all you see when you look at me? My mom had told me before that she grew up in the South and everyone in her school was brown like me. She saw whites only everywhere. She wasn't mad. That was just how it was then. She wanted to be a nurse. She couldn't go to school for that, so she moved up north. It's her mom in school. And so I should be grateful to go to school and learn. I was. I love to learn. Do you love to learn, boys and girls? I loved science. I became a doctor who writes poems and loves music. But here she is as a doctor, and she's writing and listening to music. My daughter was the only brown person in her class. When they talked about slavery and when they talked about civil rights, I told her that I was the only brown person in my class too. And just because no one ever mentions courage, strength, intelligence, or creativity, that doesn't mean that it isn't there. So, she shouldn't slide to the floor or seep into the ground. But sit up straight and fly high into the sky, because what matters more are those moments in the mirror when she asks herself, "What do I see when I look at me?" And when she does, I hope she will see that she is free to be anything she wants to be. The end, boys and girls. That was A History of Me. I hope you enjoyed this story. I enjoyed reading this story to you. But I'd like to tell you a little bit of my history that's kind of interesting and similar to what this little girl went through. When I was in the 6th grade, it was my first time going to junior high or middle school. And it was my first time having more than one class. I had 7 classes, boys and girls. 7. My first time ever having more than just one class and one teacher. And I was the only brown person in 6 of those 7 classes. So it was totally different for me. It was an adventure. I was nervous and scared because it was unfamiliar. And there were moments that were sad moments for me, but there were also great moments. And I met and became friends with quite a few people in each of those classes. So I shared that just to say that even when you're the only brown person in class, or the only boy or the only girl in class, or whatever the case may be, there's still a positive thing that you can take from that just in being yourself, looking in the mirror and embracing who you are and just going with that. Then you'll meet friends and they'll get to know you and you'll get to know them, and you can just move on and be happy throughout school. So that was a little of my history. I enjoyed talking with you. Keep reading, boys and girls, and have a great, great day. Bye-bye.